Hi, this is Ritik. I'm your biology subject matter expert from Memomeet. And in this video, we will be concentrating about the major and important topic that is breathing and exchange of gases. So, what do you mean by, breathing and how the respiration process that happens in our body and what are the mechanism that happens. Like we inhale oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide, right? How does this happen, and what is the mechanism of breathing, and how exactly this entire procedure takes place, and how it has been regulated, and what are the disorder of the respiratory system. So this is what we are gonna consider here. So as you have read earlier that oxygen is utilized by the organisms to indirectly break down the nutrient molecules like glucose and to deliver the energy for performing various activity of the body like carbon dioxide, which is actually called as harmful, right? So that is being what it is actually released during the catabolic reaction, that is inhaling of oxygen, where or whenever we inhale a gas or an air, so we only take out an oxygen, and that oxygen either it is being utilized by all the living organism to break down some nutrients indirectly. So, and as a result, carbon dioxide is released, and that is harmful gas, right? So, it is therefore evicted that oxygen has to be continuously provided to the cell, because cell is going to utilize the oxygen and give out the carbon dioxide as a product, or they are been produced by the cell, has to release out. And this process of exchange of gases, that is oxygen from the atmosphere with carbon dioxide again releasing back to the atmosphere, which is being produced by the cell, is called as breathing, which is commonly called as what? Respiration. So respiration in different organism, the mechanism of breathing in different animal groups. Say, like in lower invertebrates, sponges, coelenterators, and flatworm, as you can see here, gas exchange occurs via simple diffusion over the entire body. So, as you can see here, the entire body will, take a major role or plays a major role in an exchange of gases. Whereas an earthworm use our moist culettes for gas exchange, whereas in insects we have tracheal system, a network of tubes that transport atmospheric air directly to the tissue. Then in aquatic, as I told you, they use gills, right? A vasculated structure called gills for exchange of gases. In terrestrial, we have lungs for respiration. Invertebrates like fishes, they also respire through gills. Amphibians, they respire through both lungs and moist skin. Lungs and moist skin. Reptiles, birds, and mammals, they also have a exclusively respire through well-developed lungs here. So mammal, they have highly efficient and well-developed respiratory system. So now in detail, let us know how a human respiratory system is. We have a pair of external nostrils, that is nothing but the nose, opening out above the upper lips, right? So upper lips, we have a nostrils that has two opening, which leads to the nasal chamber. So after nasal chamber, to through what? Nasal passage. Then the nasal chamber open into what? Pharynx. So from the pharynx, we have trachea, right? So from the trachea, larynx, you can see here, right? So larynx is a cartilaginous box which actually help in sound production and can be covered by a thin, what do you say that, thin elastic cartilaginous uh, flap, which is actually called as epiglottis. Remember like this. So trachea is larynx, which is held for voice production, voice box, and it has been covered by an epiglottis. Okay. So this, what is the major function of epiglottis? It prevents the entry of food during the inhale and exhale of the gas. This is one point. And after that, it has been carried out to the lungs, right? So trachea, as you can see, it is like very straight tube, and later trachea will open into the bronchus, right? So each branches that group, and if you're saying individual, it is bronchi, and each bronchi undergoes repeated division to form what? Secondary and tertiary bronchi, and it has also an ending, right, which is actually called as bronchoil. So there are tertiary, primary, as well as secondary bronchi, and initial terminal bronchial is also present, which gave rise to a very thin, irregular, walled, and vasculated back-like structure. Okay, so the way you are seeing here, vasculated back-like structure, which is actually called as alveoli. So the branches networks of the bronchi and the bronchioles and alveoli compresses what? The entire thing compresses lungs. So all these things. And you can see a fluid which is covering, that is pleural fluid. So that actually helps from the external, shock. Okay, lung surface and the outer pleural membrane is close contact with the frozen. Then another very important thing is you will see how the gases exchanges and all. So when I'm talking about the respiration, respiration involves the following step, like breathing or pulmonary, exchange by which the atmospheric air is drawn in. So atmospheric air is drawn in, and utilization of carbon dioxide, oxygen, and carbon dioxide rich alveoli air is released out. This is one point. Okay, O2 is utilized, carbon dioxide is released. So diffusion of gases, that is carbon dioxide and oxygen, across where? Alveoli membrane. Then transport of gases by the blood, and diffusion of oxygen and carbon dioxide between the blood and tissue will take place, and utilization of carbon dioxygen by the cells for the catabolic reaction and resultant release of carbon dioxide. Okay, that is cellular respiration or death of the cell. So this is what an entire process takes place. Clear? So coming to the mechanism of the breathing. So breathing involves the two stages. One is inspiration and expiration. So what do you mean by inspiration here? The atmosphere air is drawn into the lung, occurs when intrapulmonary pressure is less than the atmospheric pressure. So that is negative pressure in lung. So whereas in expiration, alveolar air is expelled from the lung, occurs when intrapulmonary pressure exceeds atmospheric pressure. So there is a mechanism how it happens. So one is pressure gradient is what created. So in pressure gradient, what actually happens is breathing involves creating a pressure gradient between the lung and an atmosphere using muscle like diaphragm and intracostal muscles. And we have inspiration process where the diaphragm contracts, as you can see in the figure. Contraction, you can see the contraction here, right? And relaxation. So diaphragm has been relaxed. So here diaphragm um, contraction you can see. So increase thoracic volume along the anterior posterior axis. Then external intercostal muscles contracts, that is reps, and sternum, increasing thoracic volume in the dorsal ventral axis. Then we have pulmonary volume increases, lowering intrapulmonary pressure below atmospheric pressure. Air flows into the lungs. And expiration process here is diaphragm and intercostal muscular relax, reducing the thoracic and pulmonary volumes. Intrapulmonary pressure rises above atmospheric pressure, forcing air out of the lung. So we have certain things called respiratory volumes here. So one is tidal volume, which is represented by TB. So volume of air inspired that you inhale. So inspired or expired, okay, during the normal respiration, approximately it has to be like 500 ml. An healthy man can inspire or expire about how many 6 to 8,000 ml per minute. So that is the average healthy person can inspire or expire. Then inspiratory reserve volume, IRV, additional air volume a person can inhale. So more than this, so additional extra volume of air a person can inhale. Okay, forcefully he is inhaling it. That is inspiration. So ranges from 2,500 to 3,000 ml. And coming to expiration, exhaling. So additional air volume a person can exhale through the forcible expiration. So ranges 1000 to 1100 ml. Okay. So remember, this is normal respiration and respiration where you are inhaling and exhaling the air. So this is forcefully after normal. Additionally, you are forcefully inhaling the air, and this is forcefully you are exhaling additional air. Then residual volume, air remaining in the lung after forceful expiration. Once you expire forcefully, whatever the air which has remained still in the lung, that is residual volume. Okay. So ranges from 1100 ml to 1200 ml. Then we have respiratory capacity, where inspiratory capacity is the total volume of air a person can inhale after normal expiration. So how you are going to calculate? So inspiratory capacity is equal to TV plus IRV. So what is TV? Total volume, right? So you have already seen here, that is the tidal volume. IRV is inspiratory volume, inspiratory reserve volume, right? So if you add both, that is normal respiration plus additional amount of respiration is equal to IC, that is inspiratory capacity. Then expiratory capacity is like you're gonna see TV, that is tidal volume plus EPERV, that is nothing but expirational capacity. That whatever the normal respiration plus you have expired, that is exhaled, okay, than the normal. That means you have normally after inspiration, normally you have left the air. Matlab, ek bar when you breathe in, right? So normally you breathe out the air. So that is normal breathing out of the air plus forcefully breathing out of the air. So that is expiratory capacity. Then functional residual capacity is like air volume remaining in the lung after normal expiration. And this is the formula. Vital capacity is maximum air volume a person can inhale after forceful expiration. And this is the volume. VC is equal to TV plus IRV plus ERV. Then total lung capacity, that is TLC, is equal to total volume of air the lung can hold after forceful inspiration. And this is the volume. This is the formula. So gas exchange in alveoli and tissues. How exactly the gas exchange takes place? So primary site here is gas exchanges occurs at alveoli, that is lung, and between the blood and the tissue. Coming to its mechanism of gas exchange, it's simple diffusion based on pressure concentration gradient, gas solubility, and membrane thickness. So partial pressure of gases is like the pressure contributed by an individual gas in a mixture. Is its partial pressure. Like you will be having many gases in which oxygen is showing contributing in the mixture of gas. Okay, then represented as PO2 for oxygen, partial pressure of oxygen, and partial pressure of PCO2, that is carbon dioxide. Partial pressure gradient is nothing but oxygen gradient, that is alveoli, from alveoli to the blood to the tissue. And like for carbon dioxide, it is from the gradient, so from the tissue to the blood, and from the blood to the alveoli. So in that way, exchange happens. Solubility of gases. How solubility when coming to carbon dioxide? So 20 to 25 times higher than that of the oxygen. So diffusion rate per unit partial pressure differs in higher concentration of carbon dioxide when compared to the oxygen. So in the structure in the membrane, how diffusion takes place? So we have squamous epithelium cells here of the alveoli, then endothelium of the alveolar capillaries, then basemental substances between the two. Total thickness less than 1 millimeter. It has to be like. So this is what we are talking about. So the thin diffusion membrane, partial pressure gradient, and the gas solubility ensures this effectiveness or efficiency. So oxygen diffusions from the alveoli from here to the tissue will take place, and carbon dioxide diffusion from the tissues to the alveoli takes place. So transportation of gases. Blood is a medium of the transportation of carbon dioxide as well as oxygen. About 97% of the oxygen is transported by RBC in the blood, and the remaining 3% of the oxygen is carried in a dissolved state through the plasma. Remember, very important. Nearly 20 to 25% of the carbon dioxide is being transported again by the RBC, whereas 70% of it is carried in a dissolved state by as a bicarbonate. Okay. So about 7% of carbon dioxide is carried in a dissolved state through the plasma here. So how transportation of oxygen takes place is, first we have in RBC, that is red blood cell, we have uh, hemoglobin, right? So it is a red iron containing pigment in a red blood cells called RBC. It is hemoglobin. So that hemoglobin has an oxygen binding site. So where the oxygen bind reversibly with hemoglobin to form the oxyhemoglobin, and each hemoglobin molecule can carry maximum 4 oxygen molecule. Then factors that are affecting or will be affecting the oxygen binding is, the primary factor could be like partial pressure of the oxygen, and other influential factors that are partial pressure of the carbon dioxide and high concentration of H plus ions, pH, and the temperature. You have oxygen dissolved curve here. So what will be the shape actually? As you can observe here, sigmoidal shape, and plot percentage saturation of hemoglobin. Here, this is the saturation of hemoglobin with oxygen against partial pressure of oxygen, and highlights the effect of the partial pressure of carbon dioxide H plus ions, and temperature on oxygen hemoglobin interaction. So, what are the conditions for the oxygen transport here? At alveoli, that is in lung, high partial pressure of oxygen has to be there, and low partial pressure of the carbon dioxide has to be there. High H plus ionic concentration has to be there. Low temperature, favorable for formation of oxyhemoglobin. Whereas at tissues, it has to be like low oxygen because tissue is gonna give carbon dioxide, right? Then high, obviously, partial pressure of carbon dioxide will be present in the tissue because tissue will be having and as a waste by product as carbon dioxide here. Then high H plus concentration, high temperature has to be there and favorable for dissociation of oxygen from the oxyhemoglobin. That is very important. Oxygen delivery to tissues. How? Every 100 ml of oxygenated blood delivers approximately 5 ml of the oxygen to tissues under normal condition. Coming to the transportation of carbon dioxide, it is by the carbanium hemoglobin. So where carbon dioxide binds to hemoglobin to form a carbanium hemoglobin, that is 20-25% of the transport carbon dioxide here. Then binding is influenced by the partial pressure of the carbon dioxide and partial pressure of the oxygen. Then high carbon dioxide and low partial pressure of oxygen will be present in the tissue as discussed or as I told you before. More carbon dioxide binding and low carbon dioxide, and high oxygen you will see in the alveoli where carbon dioxide is disassociates from the hemoglobin. Then bicarbonate ions, majority of the carbon dioxide is transported as bicarbonate ions, reaction catalyzed by the carbonic anhydrase and RBCs as well as in plasma. Carbon dioxide transport and exchange when I'm talking. In tissue level, carbon dioxide diffuses into the blood, then like RBC and plasma. Then carbon dioxide is converted into bicarbonate and H plus ions, facilitates the transport of CO2 from the tissues. Whereas at alveoli, the carbon dioxide concentration will be low. Reverse reaction occurs. Bicarbonate and H plus ions from carbon dioxide and H2O, they are normally forms. And CO2 is released from the blood into the alveoli and they are being exhaled. So carbon dioxide delivery efficiency is like every 100 ml of the oxygenated blood delivers approximately 4 ml of carbon dioxide in alveoli. Neural control, respiratory rhythm center, which is located in the medulla that controls the respiratory system. Primary center for controlling the respiration rhythm. And pneumotaxic centers, which is located in the pons region of the brain and modulates the rhythm center by reducing the duration of the inspiration and adjusting the respiratory rate. Then the chemosensitive area, so located near the rhythmic center, then it is sensitive to increase in the carbon dioxide layer and H plus ion concentration with the decrease in pH, activates the rhythm center to eliminate the excess carbon dioxide and maintains the pH balance. Peripheral chemoreceptors like are found in the aortic arc and the carotid arteries and detect changes in carbon dioxide level and H plus concentration, send signals to the respiratory center for the correct action, to take correct action. Role of oxygen in regulation is plays a minimum role in regulating respiration rhythm compared to carbon dioxide and H plus ion. So this is all about a brief introduction of the human respiration, human gas, and its exchange of gases. With regard to this, if you have any doubt, you can contact me through the Telegram channel or through the comment section. And very important is do not forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share with your friends. Thank you.